Some bad news for the Michigan Wolverines going into spring football again. I'll have the absolute latest from Ann Arbor. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below so you never miss an episode. It's free. It takes just a second. Do it while you're watching if you don't mind, and that way you don't miss us at all. All right, spring football for Michigan. Got the schedule out. Want to work through it here. Rod Moore's injury update. Not great, but the running backs room seems pretty good. And I got a big disagreement with Michigan Athletic Director Warde Manuel about the Ohio State rivalry. We will get to all of that in due time. So Michigan spring football is just about here. Going to start March 18th. March 21st is the pro day. So Kenneth Grant and all those guys are going to show their wares. They're going to show the NFL what they could do. And I'm excited about that. I think that'll be good. And then on April 19th at the Big House, the Maize and Blue game. That'll be noon Eastern, and it'll be on the Big Ten Network. I'll be watching. You'll be watching. It'll be great. I like these spring games. I'm glad they're not canceling this one like out of Nebraska and USC. I'm excited to see the kid Bryce Underwood play, aren't you? That's what these things are all about. So I definitely want to check that out. All right, let's get into the bad news, though, going into the spring. Wolverines defensive coordinator Wink Martindale recently updated everybody on safety Rod Moore's comeback, and it's not great news. It's not devastating, but it's not great. Moore was, of course, instrumental in Michigan's national championship season 2 years ago. He picked off Kyle McCord. Like it was the one bad pass Kyle McCord threw, or it was the one that got jumped. And threw the interception there. That sealed the game for Michigan. I thought they might build a statue of Rod Moore at that point outside the Big House. That clinched the game against Ohio State, kept the season undefeated, got them into the Big Ten championship game, and they were off into the playoffs to win it all. Great play. High expectations for Rod Moore coming into 2024 because of all that. I mean, he was a good player. It wasn't just one play. And he's supposed to be one of the best DBs in the country. He can do it all. He tackles. He can defend passes. He'll get you an interception once in a while. And he's great in the film room studying. Many people have given stories that the reason he was able to intercept that pass to seal the Ohio State game was due to film study. Go back and look. Marvin Harrison, he was on a route, and Rod Moore jumped it. He knew it was coming, and it was a great play, and just an attribute to his film study. Everything was going in the right direction for him. NFL career around the corner, all that good stuff. And then last spring, about a year ago, he suffered a season-ending knee injury, and he tore his ACL. He was still a team captain this year, even though he was out for the year. This is how much his teammates love him and respect him and watch his work ethic, and they still wanted him to be a team captain last year. But according to Wink Martindale, the recovery's been a little bit slow. I mean, it's been a full year, and Wink says he hasn't really run in like 14 months since the national championship game. They say he's going to be ready for the fall. So I don't know, but it's been, and once you get to this point, it's much mental as it is physical too. But he does not feel ready, and he's not going to play in the spring. He's not going to play spring practice. He's not going to play in the spring game. So they do think he'll be ready to go by fall. And Michigan opens up the 2025 season August 30th at the Big House against New Mexico. So keep that date in mind. On another note, a little more positive for Michigan football, let's talk about the running back room. It seems like the last couple of years, they've lost a lot of really good ones. I was watching Donovan Edwards at the Combine, working out, setting all sorts of records. He did a lot of interviews. And, I mean, let's face it, you go this past year and the year before, the exodus of running backs going into the NFL, it's a lot of talent that's gone out the door. Himself, Khalil Mullins, also Donovan. In addition to Donovan Edwards and Mullins, you Blake Corum the year before going to the NFL. But Edwards says, hey, no problem. More talent coming. He says Michigan's in good hands under their running backs coach, Tony Alford. And he was at Ohio State for 9 years and then came over to the Wolverines last year. And he says Alford is very detail-oriented. He loves his players, so they're good to go. And he's got some talent to work with here in 2025. Don't forget, Alabama transfer Justice Haynes is coming. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. And also rising sophomore Jordan Marshall. Jordan Marshall got a lot of people's attention in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Alabama. It was kind of his coming out party. So a lot of excitement about him. And Donovan Edwards also says, don't forget, they also have a redshirt sophomore, Ben Hall, little dynamo of muscle. He was 5'11", 235. He says, look out for him. So we will. All right, now another point. I got a beef with Michigan athletic director Warde Manuel. Nothing personal, just a difference of opinion. He's ending his run. He's been the chair of the College Football Playoff Committee, and now he's going to step aside there. That's the group that ranks the teams and puts the teams in the playoffs. And he was doing a recent interview, and he was asked about the rivalry. Look, we keep letting all these teams into the playoffs. It gets bigger and bigger. Isn't that going to diminish rivalries? Is that going to diminish Michigan versus Ohio State? He says, no, that game at the end of the regular season will never diminish. He says, no matter how many teams get in the playoffs, whether it's a 12-team playoff, 14 teams, 16, or 118, as he suggested. He says, it doesn't matter. It won't change. He says it's called the game for a reason. Now, I will tell you, growing up in the Midwest, the Michigan-Ohio State game has been my favorite rivalry in all of sports. All of sports, not just college football. All sports. I love that game. Watch it every year. And so that's where I'm coming from. All right. But I'm going to disagree with Warde Manuel. This game's getting diminished when we keep adding more teams to the playoffs. And I'll tell you why. If you're an everydayer to Locked On Big Ten, you're already going to know this because I've talked about this numerous times. And even just a couple of weeks ago, talked about this as well. But I mean, how can the regular season finale between Ohio State and Michigan be the biggest game of the year when at some point, sooner than later, they're going to turn around and play each other again the next week in a Big Ten championship in an even bigger game? When we lost divisions, and it's just the top two records, you're in the Big Ten championship game. There's going to be a year where Ohio State and Michigan are the top two records. They're going to play their season finale game, and then they're going to turn around and play again the next week. How anticlimactic is that? You look at the expanded playoffs, just because, look, Michigan, Ohio State, if they get into a Big Ten championship game, and even if they lose, they're probably both going to have great records, probably going to be in the top 10 like they have been numerous times in their history, and both move on to the playoffs, win or lose, and they'll probably play each other again. There's going to come a year where these two play 3 times. They'll play in November, end of the regular season. They're going to play the next week, first week of December, in the Big Ten championship game. They're going to turn around and play in late December or early January in a college football playoff game with everything on the line. If these two teams meet in January in the playoffs in a semifinal, or heaven forbid, a final, nobody's going to remember or care about the November game. So it is diminished. It is diminished by nature. And we get to the next level, Big Ten championships and playoffs and national championships. These are bigger games. This game down here doesn't mean as much. I mean, it'll always be important. Don't get me wrong. But it clearly is diminished. We got to, and I've always said, you got to stop expanding these playoffs. It's too much. It's killing. One of the greatest things about sports, but the greatest things about college football is the importance of a Saturday afternoon. Anyway, you can hit me up with comments if you want. Talk to me about that on YouTube. Would love to hear from you on all of that. Hey, be sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button real quick, for free. It's super quick. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And if you also don't mind, hit share, follow, and like too. That helps us out a lot. Always appreciate that. And we also have a website, talkbig10.com, where we have all of our podcasts go full length, short ones are all right there. And also links to merchandise from your favorite school. You're a Michigan fan? Get Michigan shirts, hats, t-shirts, pennants, coffee mugs, all right there where our podcasts are. It's click a link for your convenience right there on talkbig10.com. All right. I've got a final word I want to get to you, and we're going to look at Michigan. They are getting ready. Basketball, they are postseason ready. All that is coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. I want to tell you about our friends at Fabric. Fabric, they help you out with insurance. All right. Life moves fast, especially if you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take the first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing the future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You can be covered in 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. You got peace of mind as a parent. Also affordable coverage. You can get millions of dollars of coverage for less than $1 a day. And it also offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts that will help you in your children's future. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Insurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Prize Picks. Let me tell you about them. March basketball, it's all here. No better way to get into the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more than or less than with some stats on 2 or more players. You group them all together, and you can even win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's fast and easy and keeps the game exciting. For example, you can look at Jason Tatum and say more than 29 points and LeBron James more than 8 assists. Put them together, see what happens, and win. They got fast payouts. Your money hits your account as little as 15 minutes. No waiting around. Prize Picks even offers weekly promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get discounted player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate that. Let's look ahead to basketball this weekend, Sunday. We're talking a lot about Michigan. Michigan basketball, 17th ranked in the country, taking on 8th ranked Michigan State. It's a big one. It's the regular season finale. That is at noon Eastern on CBS. Dusty May, great story for the Wolverines. Vlad Goldin, a Russian family, doesn't see him for 5 years, comes out to Senior Day last week. Big 7-footer, 2 7-footers for Michigan, taking on Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans. Again, that'll be at noon Eastern on CBS on Sunday. We'll be watching that. We'll be talking about it here on our podcast. If you are new to us, here's what we do that's unique to everybody else. Obviously, we talk about Big Ten. We talk about all 18 teams in the Big Ten, all the latest Big Ten news, but we also have analysis and opinion, mine and yours, right here under one umbrella. So if you have a friend that's interested, that is a Big Ten alum or fan, and they don't know we're out here every day, let them know. Word of mouth is great. Locked On Big Ten. Many ways for you to interact with us. There's Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Our website, TalkBig10, number 10, TalkBig10.com, where you can get all of our merchandise and podcasts right there as well. Also, if you could be so sure as to subscribe, and that is free. That just takes a second. Just hit the subscribe button, and you're good to go. And that way you never miss an episode of Locked On Big Ten every single day. That'll be great. You can be part of this as soon as it's available each and every day if you are a subscriber. Also want to give you a shout out. We have other shows on the Locked On Network, including our friends from Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shade and Andy Patton do a great job. It's college basketball season, man. These guys know their stuff. They're good. So you could be the most informed person at your work or around the block. You listen to these guys. Check them out. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday with more. Thanks for checking us out. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you next time.